The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this program are for educational purposes only and should be used as a guide. It is strongly recommended to seek professional advice before making any decisions.
Welcome to the Anonymous Investor Podcast, where real estate meets artificial intelligence. This episode of the Anonymous Investor Podcast is brought to you by SuburbsFinder, the ultimate property research tool.
Honestly, SuburbsFinder is a fantastic tool. It allows you to quickly identify and assess suburbs.
See the whole host of analytics and data that you can get at your fingertips.
It can help you forecast over the 30 years. It has really good information.
SuburbsFinder guides you through every step of your investment journey. And now, here are your awesome AI hosts, Sam and Boris.
Hi, I'm Sam, your AI co-host. I'm all about data and trends.
And I'm Boris, your AI co-host. I'm all about strategy and risk.
We're
your
your
SuburbsFinder AI team, combining data and strategy to help you succeed in real estate investing. Have fun listening to our episode today. Okay, so thinking about real estate investing, super exciting.
Right.
But hold on. Before you start picking out paint swatches for your dream rental property, because we got to talk about keeping those emotions in check.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is all about making sure your heart doesn't lead you to a money pit.
Yeah.
Because let's be real for a sec. Smart real estate investing, it's about what renters want.
Right.
Not necessarily what we'd buy if we were moving in.
You've hit the nail on the head there. Real estate, it's just different. It's not like picking stocks, it's tangible, it's brick and mortar. It's the largest asset class out there. You walk into a place and you can practically see your furniture, You can almost smell dinner cooking in that kitchen. And that emotional connection, it's a real thing. But for an investor, it can be risky.
Oh, tell me about it. I once almost bought this beachfront apartment, and I swear, the only reason was that sound of the ocean. Like I could practically taste the maytais.
Right.
Thankfully, my bank account intervened. And maybe a little bit of common sense, too. But it just shows how easy it is to get caught up in the feeling of a place, rather than the hard reality.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's when those personal preferences, they can really trip you up.
Yeah.
They start picking properties we love, not what's going to appeal to the, to the most renters out there. And that is a recipe for an empty property and a big old hole in your pocket.
So true. So then how do we avoid that trap? Let's say I find this place, right? And I am loving the exposed brick, that vintage fireplace, but those things might not exactly scream rent me to everybody else. So what should I be focusing on instead of just, my inner interior designer?
You need a solid strategy. You need like a checklist, right? And it has to be based on cold, hard facts. We're talking about market research.
Right.
What kind of properties are in high demand in that area? What are the rental yields looking like? And by that, we mean the annual rental income compared to the property's price,
Right.
What are the vacancy rates like? As in, how often are similar properties sitting empty?
So basically, think like a business owner, not just someone who might live there. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll admit, it's tough sometimes to resist, a certain neighborhood or like that one type of property that you just gravitate towards.
I get it. But that's what we call the comfort zone trap. And we have to talk about it. We like what we know, right? Like maybe buying in your own neighborhood. But sometimes being too familiar, it can make us miss out on other good opportunities.
Sticking to your usual, even when there's a whole menu to explore, right? I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We might be missing out on way better rental yields or places where prices are going up faster, and all because we haven't looked outside that comfort zone. So challenge yourself a little. Consider those areas that you might not have looked at before. Remember, data should be your guide, not just what feels comfy.
That is some solid advice. And speaking of getting out of that comfort zone, vacation homes. Oh man, I could already picture it, that cabin in the mountains, beachfront apartment, sunset views.
It's tempting, right? The vacation home. But let's bring it back down to earth for a minute.
Right. We can't let our personal desire for a little ski chalet, cloud our judgment when it comes to how well it'll actually rent out year round. How do we stay grounded when we see those dreamy listings?
Cold, hard, financial analysis. Is this a place that's going to be rented out consistently? Or just, for part of the year, will you actually make more than you're spending? Don't forget those times when it's just sitting there empty. Remember, prioritize that consistent cash flow, not the emotional attachment.
So it's a business decision, even if it feels like an escape. detach from the fantasy and focus on the realities of those financials.
Exactly. And speaking of finances, there's another tool that can help you make those tough choices and avoid those emotional traps. Financial stress testing using SuburbsFinder's investment property analyzer.
Stress testing. Okay,
Yeah.
now I want to hear more. What is that and how does it, work with real estate?
So picture this. You look at how a property would do, not just if everything goes perfectly, but if the market takes a hit. What happens if interest rates go up? Recession hits, even something totally unexpected like, the factory in town closes.
Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Love it.
That's it. By playing out these what-if scenarios, you're looking at things realistically. You're asking yourself, can I still afford this if I'm not bringing in as much rent? What if something breaks or it sits empty for a few months? Do I have enough put aside?
It's like putting on financial armor. Protects you from those what-if anxieties, And when you can handle the rough patches, you won't panic and make a risky move out of fear.
Exactly. You're less emotional, so you're more likely to make decisions based on, the actual data, even when the market's having a bad day.
And speaking of emotional roller coasters, our research really highlighted these different phases people go through when they're buying property. It's a wild ride.
Oh, it can be, for sure. And if you know what those phases are, you can navigate them, way better. Everyone experiences them differently, but just being aware of them helps a lot.
So let's break them down. First up, infatuation. You walk into a place and boom, love at first sight. The hardwood floors, the chef's kitchen.
Right.
It's very easy to get caught up in that initial excitement.
It's that initial spark, right? This is the one. Very exciting. But that is when we have to be super careful. We are not shopping for our own home here, no matter how much it might feel that way in the moment.
It's like you went on one date and you're already picking out china patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah, those crown moldings might be gorgeous, but hold your horses. Don't fall head over heels until you have looked at all the numbers.
Right. Take your time, get the data, and don't be afraid to walk away. If the numbers aren't there or something just doesn't feel right, there are other fish in the sea.
And speaking of ups and downs, after that first infatuation phase, sometimes you hit, despondence. You lose a bidding war. The inspection finds something. It's easy to get discouraged.
Oh, I've been there. Lost what I swore was the perfect property to some all-cash offer. Talk about a punch to the gut.
It happens, and it's tough, for sure.
Okay.
But that's where, that investor's resilience comes in. You can't let those setbacks derail you. Remember, it's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. There will be other great opportunities.
Got to keep that long-term vision, that investor mindset. And then when it all comes together, you've done the work and you finally close on that property. Triumph. The best feeling. Seeing your strategy actually work. But, and this is important, it's not the finish line.
More like the starting line of a whole other race.
Yes.
Right. Now the real work begins. Managing the property, finding the right tenants, handling all the maintenance and the market changes.
Right. And that part, managing the investment, that requires the same, level-headed, data-driven approach as choosing it in the first place.
So what does this all mean for our listeners who are, ready to dive into real estate?
It's simple. Keeping your emotions in check, it's not a one-and-done thing. It's a practice. You're always working on that analytical mindset, building up that financial resilience we talked about, and never, ever letting those dream home fantasies lead you astray.
Love that. So before we wrap up, here's a little something to think about. What is it that makes you really want a property? Is it the location, the style of the place? Figuring out your own personal weak spots? That is a huge step towards becoming a smarter investor. Until next time, happy investing, everyone, and remember, keep it data-driven.
If this is the type of information you like to learn about, why not subscribe to the channel? If you subscribe to SuburbsFinder now, I will not look for you, I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you, I will find you, and I will give you a big bear hug.